2 skills remain to get to 120. One is trained by mains almost exclusively on double XP weekends. The other is likely never trained on double XP weekends. But as an Ironman, I have no predilection for when to train because they're both going to take a hell of a long time anyway. Today we're going to be talking about how I'm handling the last 30 or so million Herblore XP. Like most Ironmen, a huge amount of my Herblore XP comes passively from XP lamps, penguin points, distractions and diversions, those kinds of things. Everything else comes from making potions on an as-needed basis. Unless I had a clear level goal in mind, I typically never made more potions than what I found comfortable. Why overmake potions? That was my thought. Why use the resources to make stuff that I might not use? Just use them as you need them. Aggro overloads? 100 should do for now. Vone bombs? I'll make 1,000 and worry about making more when I run out. Prayer potions? I don't even know where they come from. Rare drop table, I guess? But now that I've put a time limit on myself, comping before necromancy releases, whenever that might be, I've really got to focus on Herblore XP and not just Herblore products. And that's why I've started by making sticky bombs. I have no idea where they could be used. Frankly, I don't know if they have a real use anywhere. They sound neat on paper, but how much application does a 6-second AoE snare really have? There's probably some niche strat at Telos. What I do know is that they give 1000 XP each and use beak's knot, dinosaur claws, and catentines as ingredients. I've got thousands of beak's knot from doing nothing. Their only other use is power bursts of sorcery, 180 of which is enough to last 24 hours of rune crafting. Point is, you don't need a lot of them, so it's not like I need to save the snot. Also, extreme cooking potions you make with beak's knot, but I made a bunch of those ages ago when I was training cooking to 99. I don't need any more. Dinosaur claws are only used in sticky bombs and power bursts of opportunity. Part of me says to make power bursts of opportunity, not to use, but to preserve my bomb vial stash. You see, power burst vials are very easy to get, much like empty regular vials. If you go through your settings and disable the option to destroy empty vials when decanting potions, you can get tens of thousands of vials really fast for like 2 GP per vial. Decant a bunch of 4 doses into 1 doses, bang the noted vials war gives you, decant back into 4 dose, and repeat. Bomb vials, however, don't have that option. You can buy 200 per day, 100 from Jaddix and Taverley, 100 from Lady Myleer and Prifddinas. That's it. Okay, that's actually not true, I've lied to you. You can craft bomb vials from molten glass, but are you really gonna do that? What is this, old school? Here in RS3, the only thing we blow. So I wonder, would it be more optimal to mine and excavate phasmatite and 3rd Age iron and save bomb vials for vulnerability bombs? The obvious and likely correct answer is probably no. Actually, blowing the molten glass I have in my bank from all these Saren Spirit drops I get would probably be faster. Let's not talk about it anymore. We don't need another analysis video. Catentines also go into sticky bombs, but I've got thousands of those from all the Ripper dinosaurs I killed failing to get laceration boots. You could argue that saving them for super defenses is wiser, but here are 2 counterpoints. First, super defenses are useless when gathered in greater excess than the other super potions since they're only useful for making overloads and overload derivatives. And second, white berries are such a pain in the ass to get. They're so dear that I always buy the 5 in each of the Herblore shops when I stop in to get the bomb vials. It actually wouldn't surprise me to learn if super defense potions are on more drop tables and drop more frequently than white berries. Needless to say, catentines aren't all that valuable to me right now. Besides your standard potion crafting, there is a plethora of other training methods in the form of passive over time sorts of things. One of those is the Dream of Aya. We can convert our Anachronia resources into supplies to work at these stations. Leaves become Herblore XP at a 2-to-1 ratio. With max workers, including the 10 we get from Fort Forinthry's command center, we can get 4,200 leaves per hour, 100,800 every 24 hours. Since the leaves cap at 150,000, we need to deposit our supplies every other day so the workers can continue to accumulate them. Assuming we never cap our resources, we can easily get around 350,000 XP per week. This isn't factoring in the amount of time it takes to process the resources at the workstation, but that's much quicker than the workers can gather them anyway, so it's not really, it's negligible. Then there's the tried and true method of penguin points. Using a weekly reset token, I can get about 50 points per week. That's another roughly 600,000 XP. And finally, there's daily challenges. Extending them gets me 100,000 XP for each challenge, 300,000 per day. If I made no potions and just did those 3 things daily/weekly, that's 3 million Herblore XP every week. I'd have 120 in about 2 months. I highly doubt Necromancy will release in August, so I could do that, but that feels wrong, you know? Obviously, I'm not going to not use those XP methods, but I'm not going to not refuse to make potions. For instance, Extreme prayer potions. I've been grinding all the wyvern bones I've been getting from wilderness flash events while clawing hopelessly at the chance of getting a dark onyx core, most of which I'm sure have been hoarded by Waydot's Ironman. Anyway, we could turn prayer potions into super prayer potions with ground wyvern bones. I've got over 1,000 prayer potions and over 1,000 ground wyvern bones, which works out to more than 300,000 XP. Although I am doing a bit of this from memory because I didn't record the actual footage of how many prayer potions I have, it's probably closer to like 1,500, I don't know, but whatever, I have a lot. Also note, these prayer potions were supposed to serve a different purpose, but I forgot you needed them for Elder Salves. Don't worry, we'll rectify that mistake eventually. Making all those super prayers got me to 117 Herblore, which unlocks extreme prayer potions. All you need for those is Spark Chitin and a super prayer potion. Oh, and a primal extract, but you need that for just about every potion past 99. They're basically the new vial of water. And you wouldn't say you need a vial of water if you wanted to make an attack potion, so it's just kind of a given. Thanks to my generous use of Botanist Amulets, 3 pieces of the Flash Powder outfit, and the modified Botanist Hood, I was able to make around 2,000 3-dose super prayer potions. Extreme prayers give 1,200 XP each baseline. That's 2.4 million XP. Not too bad. And after making all those potions, I'm still at 117 Herblore. Looking back at this footage, it's actually kind of shocking. I didn't do any of this calculating while making the potions. I was in a do it and see what comes out on the other end kind of mood. 2.4 million XP and it looks like nothing's changed. Here's a fun little fact. Do you know why it's called footage? It's because in the old days, when they used to film stuff on film, it was measured in feet. Just like how the number of miles a car has driven is mileage, the number of feet a film is footage. Isn't that fun? Before I start explaining another potion like some sort of alchemy tutor my sweet attentive pupils, I want to point out why I'm in Fort Forinthry. I'm sure it's obvious to a lot of you, but for those for whom my presence at this fort isn't forming any formal explanation, or for those who've forgotten, forgo the wiki for a lesson is forthcoming. That's a bit much, I guess, forgive me. With a tier 3 town hall, you accrue 1 point of rested XP every 3 minutes. While skilling within the fort, you get 3 points every 3 minutes. You can exchange this rested XP for some bonus XP in a skill of your choice. 100 points of rested XP is the equivalent of a small fallen star's worth of bonus XP. Not a lot, but there's no reason to train anywhere else, so why throw that XP out? The fort's a great place to train bank Because of this, the fort is a good place to train bank standing skills. The most valuable non-herb ingredient for me going forward is likely gonna be bottled dinosaur roars. You only get them from Rex-like dinosaurs on your farm, and like most dinosaurs, they age quite slowly. Fortunately, I have several thousand from just training farming and trying to fill the dinosaur breeding log, but I think I'll still need more than what I already have, so I need to be a bit strategic with how I use them. I want a decent stockpile of Power Baits of Master Burst. Power Burst of Master Stroke. You can only use them every 2 minutes like all Power Bursts, so you're unlikely to chew through thousands of them very fast. I made a few hundred, and again, like most Power Bursts, they give over 1,000 XP. Then there's Vulnerability Bombs. Incredibly useful and invaluable to PVM. Not only do they inflict the vulnerability debuff on anything within a 3x3 area of the bomb's target, increasing the damage they take by 10%, but also when I'm bossing, they make me feel like I know what the hell I'm actually doing. The limiting factor here are the dwarf weeds actually, but that's fine because I've got a bunch of seeds waiting to be planted. My super duper ultra method for herb runs is actually pretty simple. Teleport to the wilderness patch with your wilderness sword, then the Cruis patch with your crystal teleport seed, then the Garden of Carid with your infinite teleport seed, the blue one, then use an amulet of nature to teleport to a dead allotment patch in Mauritania. Don't gotta run from the Ectofuntus. Doesn't really save time, it's just easier. The next patches are the spellbook teleports while on Lunars. Ardoin Farm, South Falador, Catherby, and finally Trollheim, assuming you've unlocked it from the Livid Farm minigame, the funnest minigame in the game. If you haven't, I'd probably just skip the Trollheim patch entirely. Yeah, it can't get diseased, but the run from the top of the mountain is slow and annoying, so even in old school you could teleport to there. Even they realized how frustrating that run is. Although in old school, I think you just need the easy, medium, and hard Fremetic diaries done, 74 agility, and making friends with my arm? That quest? Those requirements are actually way more reasonable than what we have to do on RS3. Easy escape, SMH. I also take some growth potions with me just in case one of the herbs gets diseased. I can cure it and grow it up real quick just so the trip feels complete. I hate leaving half-grown herbs behind. I want to harvest all of them. I could just use my 500 growth potions on the seeds. I mean, that'd be faster, but here's why I don't want to do it. Make sure you go to Bertarot to make your prayer renewals. And wear your Mauritania legs, don't forget those. Otherwise, you don't get the 20% chance to make a 4-dose potion. This also stacks with the factory outfit and the Botanist Amulet chances, by the way. And the modified Botanist Hood can duplicate any of those 4-dose potions. Someone do the math. 10% from the factory outfit, 5% from the amulet, 20% from the legs. The odds of none of those proccing is 0.9 times 0.95 times 0.8. That's 68.4%. So there's a 31.6% chance of getting a 4-dose prayer renewal, 5% chance to duplicate the potion. 1,000 unfinished potions becomes 1,050 potions. About 330 are 4 doses. So an extra 110 3-dose potions. Does that sound right? Another kinda easy potion to make is weapon poison, and it's another indispensable PVM supply, so the more I have the better. Weapon poisons plus can be a bit annoying to make. You need coconut milk, poison ivy berries, and cave nightshades. Coconuts can be gathered in pretty large quantities if you have a bunch of palm trees planted. The same is true for poison ivy berries if you have bushes planted. Cave nightshades can be gathered in the scavid caves or grown from cave nightshade seeds. Those are pretty good use for the growth potions since the cave nightshade patch is sort of out of the way, so you don't want to have to run there all the time. Although I guess you could attune your farming amulet to the evil turnip patch if that's a disease and you could teleport to that all the time instead of the Mauritania patch. If you don't mind running from the ectofuntus, maybe that's a good option for you. Throw cave nightshades into your herb runs. The weapon poisons plus are a lot simpler. Poison slime, which you get from the Ranch Out of Time frogs, primal extract obviously, and the plus potions. They only give 700 XP each, less than what you'd expect from a post 99 potion, but it is only one level post 99. And if you're wondering where you're supposed to get the primal extract from if you've got coconuts and poison ivy taking up your fruit tree and bush patches, I offer you 2 options. 1, gather a ton of fruit pulp before going hard into the 120 Herblore grind. I've got over 12,000 in my bank, so I'm gonna be pretty good for a while. Or dragon fruit. There are 2 patches in Al-Kharid, one in Menaphos and one on Anachronia. You could probably just harvest from the Al-Kharid ones and be more than flush with that sweet pulp. We've covered bombs, power bursts, extreme prayers, poisons, overloads. Almost forgot about overloads. I'm a bit conflicted with overloads. I've got materials to make around 1,000 elder overloads, and that's around 4 million XP, if I did my math right. But here's the trouble. Do I make the overloads now and use that experience to get me closer to 120? Or do I hold on to the supplies and make them after 120 when I have the Master Skill Cape perk? The perk allows you to make batch overloads. So with 4 Torstals and 4 of each super potion, you can make 5 overloads, effectively increasing the amount of potions you make by 25%. The way other boosts stack with it makes it actually not as high as 25%, closer to 11% or something like that. I'm not sure, but you get the point. If that were it, I probably wouldn't worry too much, but you can also make batch supremes and elder overloads, each time inflating the amount of potions you make by 25%. So think of it like this. Take the supplies to make 1,333 overloads and you get 1,666. Convert those to 4 doses and that's 1,250 4-dose overloads. Now use those overloads to batch make supremes, turning 1,250 overloads into 1,562 supremes. Now batch make elders, turning 1,562 supremes into 1,952 elder overloads. Without the cape, to get 1,952 elder overloads, you'd have to start by making 2,602 3-dose overloads. But with the cape, only 1,666. That's quite the savings, if you ask me. You know, now that I look at the numbers and do a little bit of the math, and I'm pretty sure I did the math right, I think I might actually have to hold off on making these overloads. The XP is nice and all, but making overloads is such a pain even for mains. I think that's one of the benefits Old School has over RS3 is that there aren't a bunch of resource saving procs, because trying to calculate exactly how many supplies you need to make a certain number of overloads is borderline impossible because you have a 10% chance to save this, a 10% chance to get an extra dose, a 10% chance to do this, 5% chance to double. It's a mess. So I know I'll get more overloads if I wait till 120, and I want more overloads, so I'm just gonna wait till 120. I could make power bursts of vitality. They certainly have more use than sticky bombs, but they use up my supply of rock tails and Ceradoan brews, so they're definitely a potion I'd rather make as needed rather than stock up on. At 118 Herblore, we unlock the +2 version of the power burst of feats. I have a few hundred cockatrice eggs lying around from when I did some Croesus in Public World when it was first released, so it was a while ago. If I use those and make summoning potions, then make power bursts of feats, I can probably get about 1,000,000 XP from that alone. I could make them before 118, but then I'd be wasting a bunch of resources. The +2 recipe only requires a 3-dose summoning potion and a single dinosaur roar, while the +1 version requires a 4-dose summoning potion and 2 dinosaur roars. This is also why I'm holding off on making adrenaline renewal potions. Before level 119, you need 4-dose super adrenaline potions and 2 dinosaur roars, 3-dose at 119 and a single dinosaur roar. Because adrenaline potions aren't the simplest thing to get a hold of, I'm hesitant to not optimize their usage. A single super adrenaline potion requires an Avantoe, a Mortmire fungus, a papaya, and an adrenaline crystal. And if you only have inert crystals, you also need primal extract and spark chitin. Not a big ask, but you only get 10 XP for making an inert crystal not inert, making it what's the opposite of inert? Working? I don't know. Ultimately, I think a lot of my Herblore training won't be done in huge batches, but in manageable spurts, using resources I collect both from farm runs and from Slayer. Now, the last 3 levels of Slayer. Those could be interesting.